This is Epic Bonaire here with Anna G for round two in San Francisco, effing up again in the Golden City. In this episode, we review the hints discussed in a recent video and present our new solve. Please let us know what you think and set us straight if we've effed it up. A recent video discussed 3 hints to the location of the cask in San Francisco. First, hey man, thanks for sharing, we appreciate it. Next, let's review these hints. The first hint is that when it was announced a few years ago that somebody had found the cask in San Francisco, somebody associated with the book was reported to have said, "They must have figured out the Fairmount clue," presumably meaning the Fairmount Hotel. Well, of course, turned out to be wrong. The cask was not actually found. The hint that somebody said this thing about the Fairmount Hotel seems reasonable, although any quote that's, gotten third or fourth hand or more should be viewed cautiously. Second, when filming the San Francisco episode of Expeditions Unknown, Josh Gates reportedly had someone tell him that F is important. This could be a retelling of the first hint that just got shortened from Fairmont to F, or not. Maybe it's completely different. The third hint is that Sandy reportedly told someone that around 1980 or so she was on a date with Byron at the Tonga room in the Fairmount when he left for 15 minutes saying he had to bury something. Let's look at the solve offered in the recent video and then look at this hint 3 more closely. The video describing the 3 hints offered a partial solve. First, the stone wall's door is a door in a wall of stone on the south side of the Fairmont Hotel on California Street. The air smells sweet referred to an exhaust fan from Blum's County Candy and Sweet Shop that blew out right above the door. The Stanford Court, just to the east, has 3 flags on wood posts, providing the solution to not far away high poster 3 and education and justice for all to see. Sounds from the Sky meant the KFSO radio station in the Fairmount building with the slogan, "The Sounds of San Francisco." And near Aces High was the Flying A garage, also at the Fairmount. The solutions to the remaining clues were a bit sketchy. Here's a look at the planter box on Powell Street where it was suggested that the cask is buried. It's pretty narrow. Think about how it would be to climb up in there and dig a 3-foot deep hole. There's no space behind or between the plants, no room to stand, no place to store the dirt. It's very exposed to anybody walking by. Now think about Byron burying the cask in the middle of a date with Sandy. The Fairmont was and still is a swanky place, and Byron seemed to like to dress well. For his date, I'm guessing he was wearing a very nice suit, some expensive dress shoes. If he did bury the cask there, most likely he would have gotten covered with leaves and spider webs, and his shoes would have gotten muddy. Sure, he could have changed clothes, but all that in 15 minutes without making a mess or spilling dirt on the sidewalk? Presumably this was around 1980 when Byron was traveling around burying the casks. We think it's more likely that Byron just joked that he was burying something because he had it on his mind and wanted to seem mysterious. I don't doubt the story itself, but I'm thinking he just went to take a dump or make a call or something, not actually bury the cask. Now look at the wall. The grids on the dress could be a general hint to the squares on the wall. The wall grid is 9 by 12 and split into 4 by 12 and 5 by 12 sections, which match to the 9 with the 4-5 split on the left sleeve of the dress, but it doesn't match to the 10 with the 3-7 split on the right sleeve. The brickwork on the planter is unusual. It's kind of a cross with 4 bricks set endwise, but the pattern doesn't seem to appear on the image anywhere that we could find. Anna found this photo of the planter taken in 1972. The bushes were a lot smaller then. They likely grew a lot by 1980. Note the cable car and just how close it is to the planter. The hotel garage exit is just to the left of the planter as well. It's a very public spot to dig. We don't doubt the story, but we're skeptical that the cask is in there. especially since the solve was vague on the last couple of verse clues. That was them, and this is us. The remainder of this video presents our new solve. Based on the 3 hints, we think it's reasonable to think that the Fairmount was involved in some manner. We start our solve by focusing on the major clues on the image. The clock bell hints to San Francisco. The California state shape hints to California Street. The dress with the dragon hints to the Golden Gate Park. The outline under the table hints to a cable car. Well, flip it over and it hints to Candlestick, as in Candlestick Park and Giants baseball. Now, let's use these major clues to define a general area of interest in San Francisco. The major hints are as noted on the prior slide, plus Ghirardelli's from the GH on the dress, Lincoln Park from Lincoln's profile in the rocks, and Chinatown based on the dragon. Add a green line for California Street, which intersects from Lincoln Park to the west and passes close to the entrance gate to Chinatown. That's the green line. And finally, add the general cable car area up in the northeastern portion of San Francisco. Looking at the grids in the hands, the numbers 9 and 10 seem significant. There's 9 squares on the left-hand side and 10 squares on the right-hand side. On the dress, based on the pointing fingers, 9 splits into 4 and 5, and 10 splits into 3 and 7. 6 also seems to be significant, as per the clock by the rows. These numbers keep appearing in multiple ways. The numbers 4 and 7 are also in Roman numerals on the fingers, and 3 and 5 are present below the wrists. More numbers appear on the dragon. Well, there's 7 spikes on the dragon's head. There's 3 dragon's teeth, 4 claws on the dragon's foot, 4 spikes on the end of the wing, 4 loops of the body. These repeated numbers highlight that they are important, and we'll show you how we used them. Let's see if we can find these numbers as streets in San Francisco. There are numbered streets in the southeast part of the city. As you move to the northwest, the streets intersect Market Street. That's the angled street in the middle, and then they turn and run more north. And they're not numbered from that point on. But let's where we have the numbered streets intersecting Market and they turn north, we'll just extend them from there. Now let's make full addresses by combining the 2 groups of numbers, the 3 and the 7, which encompasses the 4 and 5, and the 9 and 10. This provides 3 areas to check out. And checking out the 2 orange areas between 9 and 10th Street, we didn't find anything of interest. Some of the places didn't even have addresses. It just wasn't much there. In contrast, the yellow area defined by the 900 to 1100 3rd Street to 7th Street encompasses Chinatown and other locations of interest. Let's add some street names, and we'll also add the cable car routes. Within the yellow area, one would naturally be drawn to the area of the Fairmount Hotel based on California Street, the green line, and the cable car routes, which are in red. The first 2 lines of the verse might suggest looking up a candy shop or a sweet shop in the phone book and see what you find, see if you cross-reference them to this yellow area. And finding Blum's Sweet Shop in there would lead you directly to the Fairmount Hotel and Stonewall's door. This is it, the location of the door on California Street, and historically at least, Blum's Sweet Exhaust, which matches the Japanese hint. High poster 3, just across the street from the Stonewall's door, are 3 wood flagpoles, matching the Japanese hint that these are supposed to be posts of wood. And written on the buildings for all to see, Education and Justice at the University Club of San Francisco, just to the northeast, right on the northeast part of that intersection, and Justice at the Stanford Court, below the 3 flagpoles. Move a block west on California Street and look northwest, and see a building with the largest antenna array in San Francisco, hands down. I'm sure it's pumping sounds into the sky like crazy. These sounds, being electronic signals, they fit the Japanese hint that the sounds can be heard by machines but not by humans. And for near Aces High, we're very near the Grace Church. Aces High likely means 11. An ace can be 1 or 11, of course, in poker. Based on the 11 moons on the image, it seems like 11 is the right thing. And Grace contains the word ace within it, and the towers have windows up high that look like 11s. The church address is 1100 California Street as a coincidence. The name Grace alludes to the litany's words chase and perfect and silver moon, and these tie to the moons on the image. Next is, across in the jewel's direction is an object of Twain's attention. The Japanese hint confirms that Twain is a name. I'm thinking Mark Twain. It said Mark Twain arrived in San Francisco in 1864, not knowing his calling in the world. Here, he honed his writing skills and published increasingly larger articles and serial stories. While in town, his attention became focused on the western United States. In 1866, he went east to Nevada to experience the Wild West. He shared his story in his first book, Roughing It, which became a huge success and propelled him to international fame. So the object of Twain's attention is the West, but the direction is east because he had to go, that's the way he had to go from San Francisco to get there. Everybody else out east was going west, but he was west, so he was heading east. After moving east for Twain, we need to be running north. Well, cable cars run north on Powell Street. Hop on. Running north, the cable car route shifts west to Taylor Street. As previously noted, Taylor Street's an extension of 6th Street, which is hinted at by the clock on the image. At the end of the line at Taylor and Bay Streets, ponder the verse, giant pole. A pole can mean a flagpole or a stick or magnetic pole or axis. The biggest magnetic pole on the Earth is near the true global axis, the North Pole. The North Pole is the northernmost point on the globe, or you could say it's the North Point. So continue north to North Point Street. The rounded top on the image is a clue that the giant pole is, like the top of a globe, a semicircle, like the Earth's North Pole. The Earth spins on its axis through the pole, just like the cable car. You see, it has a turntable at the end to allow the cable cars to turn around, and that spins on its axis just like the Earth does through its axis. The lines in the rocks in the background of the image curve inward, just like the lines of latitude curve inward at the Earth's pole, squishing the image a bit so that the rocks have a generally more circular shape makes it easier to see these converging lines. At Taylor Street and North Point Street, before we go any further, let's take a look around. See the sign for the historic bar and grill called Knuckles. The sign is a close match to the dress on the image. The similarities include the overall rectangular shape, the curve at the bottom, which has been moved to the top of the dress, the spiral on the sign and the rose stem, the points on the sign and the thorn on the rose stem, and the baseball hints to the pearl. The cursive word knuckles is replaced with the looping dragon. On the sign, the letters G and H connect to these same letters on the dress. And also there's an I and a LL on the sign that look like Roman numerals 1 and 2 that are on the dress. And taken together, all these clues seem to be a very good sign that we're on the right track to the cask. Looking 2 blocks to the northeast and back in time, you'll see Madam T's on Jefferson Street, just east of Taylor Street. Madam T's was formerly the Wax Museum. The litany phrase about the silver moon is a name given to a waxing moon, which is a moon that grows from the new moon towards the full moon. Seems like another solid connection. The final clue is giant step. A reasonable guess for a giant step would be a city block, but let's see if we can reason it out. Thinking back to the globe, there are 90 degrees of latitude from the equator up to the North Pole. Well, 90 is almost 100, and one city block typically spans 100 numbers or address numbers. So, yes, a giant step is about one city block. Let's look around, see what we see. But first, let's look at this graphic from the 12 Treasure site, which I thought this was important from the minute I saw it, but I didn't know what to do with it. The outline of the woman on the image seems to be a Jesus or saintly figure. I compared the outline to a random saint who happened to wander by, and it fits pretty well. If only we could find a similar statue nearby, then we'd be golden. We're in luck at the Frank Sessi Park at the corner of Taylor and Beach, just one city block to the north. The statue is the famous St. Francis de la Varenne. Francis! It looks like Josh Gates is right. F is important, at least more so than just the Fairmount Hotel. At first glance, the woman on the image isn't that similar to the statue, but if it was identical, it would be too clear of a clue. So the image, I think the image and the statue compare reasonably well as just religious figures in general. They're both standing in their robes with baggy sleeves. They have round heads and the curves of their neck. A lot of things are very similar if you look close. The fingers on the statue are similar to the fingers on the image, and some of the rock outcroppings, the smaller ones, look like praying hands. So where is the cask? Well, first, position yourself in front of the statue, just like get the same view as you have with the woman on the image. Second, note the yin-yang symbol suggesting a balance between forces, or in this case, on the diagonal at the intersection of the two streets with equal parts of each. So in other words, at the corner. Most of the plaza is private property, but the cask location at the corner of the planter bed appears to be on city right-of-way. Note the 35 on the image under the arms, then find it's about 35 feet from the statue to the corner of the planter bed. That's it. Effing awesome. A couple last connections. Note the fish on the dress and turn around and see Fisherman's Wharf. Looking to the south, the city skyline is similar to the rocky outcroppings on the image. The moons could also be clouds. The triangles on this building just to the east of the plaza are very similar to the triangles on the dress. And saving the best and the sweetest for last, a block back at the northeast corner of Taylor Street and North Point Street, across from the Knuckles Bar, is the long-sought arched entry on the Fisherman's Wharf Tower Complex. It's not made of stone, that would have been too obvious. But the stones represent the lettering on the sign, and the bars represent the oars. The Fisherman's Wharf, F's important again. That's it. Let us know what you think and set us straight if we effed it up. Catch you next time.